Hi there. Welcome to another episode of the Coach Kayo Show. This is your live podcast where we talk all things soccer. I'm your host, Kayode Mckinnon. Um, Tonight is no different. We'll continue to um, stay on our objective for this entire podcast. The reason behind the podcast actually is to make sure we are making an impact in the lives of our young people, to make sure that they're living out their purpose, and without fear, knowing that they will or they have the opportunity to do well. Let me quickly remind you that in spite of what you might be dealing with, what you might be going through, greater is He that is in us than He that is in the world. Not going to be long on this podcast. I will promise to be here about 45 minutes or less to deal with this very important topic from my perspective, and that is trends in soccer. I think it's vital. I think it's vital to understand if you are going to make strides, if you are going to progress, if you are going to be able to make a clear assessment of where you are and where you need to be. You need to understand um, where the game is going, and we'll look at it from more of a on field um, approach, because trends can be looked at. It could be looked at from different angles, behaviors, etc. But excuse me, we will definitely look more um, at on the field trends that I believe, if we can truly understand that, we will be on our way um, to improving our game and becoming high performers. So it's a good time to please share this live podcast where you know uh, people who tune in can look um, on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram. Um, these are all places that you can listen to this podcast live. And if you don't want to listen to it live, you could still share anywhere that they listen to this podcast, the Coach Kayo Show, um, at Spotify, Anchor, and across the platforms. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so at Kayode Mckinnon and Co. Hit the notification bell so that you know when we're on every Saturday from 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So please do share if you have a young player, um, if you are interested in knowing more about the game, so that you can be the type of support that you need to be, that you can be more effective in how you guide your athlete. um, this is a good opportunity to sit in and listen, because the objective tonight is to make sure that we are equipped with the why, understanding the why of trends in soccer. So it should be um, a show that can help soccer players, soccer moms, soccer dads to be more equipped and to be able to look at the game and make better assessments, make um, make better feedback, have better reflection on the process, so that they can help the athlete to grow. So before we really dive into this subject tonight, please let me know that you're here. Uh, it's you know it's I'm always appreciative um, to people who take the time out to spend time and show um, some level of support in this process. So please let me know that you're here so that we can acknowledge you and show that level of gratitude for you taking the time out to be here. Nevertheless, we'll take a quick break to share our march with you. Please do support it, and continue to push us forward, um, as we continue to grow and we continue to make a positive impact in lives of people, in communities, and countries at large. So stay tuned, and we'll get right back to this.
Kayode Mckinnon and Company are ready to dress you in one of their most stylish, comfortable, and attractive athletic gears this fall for you to achieve that desired athletic goal. Check out their online store today for your joggers, tank tops, bras, backpacks, sweatshirts, and everything else you'll need to complete that look. It's Kayode Mckinnon and Company. We care.
Welcome back to the Coach Coyote Show. Coyote here, and we're talking about trends. Yes, this is your live podcast where we talk all things soccer. Please do share, so we continue to attract those with the level of competencies to help to move um, uh, those who are listening and are part of this community, and are tuned in to what we're doing, that you can have um, a bit of direction to help you on your journey with whatever you're doing. So please do share as we continue to grow, as we continue to spread this message, this positive message about growth, about fulfilling purpose. So trends, when you look at trends in soccer, it's an action that is occurring consistently, and those actions are influenced based on an opposition. So when we talk about trends, it's not just something that you're doing. It's not, um, because oftentimes when you ask the question, people will say, "Well, it's something that is happening." Um, yeah, it's something that is happening, but it's influent. It is influenced by an opposition, something, something that is consistently happening on one side is influencing the behavior on the other side, and we define that as a trend. So you could look at it when you look at it within the soccer context, you are unable to make good decisions oftentimes because you're not you're unable to identify with trends, both individually. It could be individually, sorry, it could be um, from a unit perspective, and then the collective. And excuse me, oftentimes the hardest part is the collective, because it's a much bigger variant of the game, and there's so much more that you need to see. If you're struggling within the smaller variant or the smaller numbers, then it's very difficult for to have that capacity to to see trends when the numbers are extremely big. I think once you, I really believe once you begin to understand trends, you um, it is potent to your success in the game. Lots and lots of mistakes and the lack of fluency you see within the game is because it is more of an instinctive action and more of a reactive approach than proactive and more deliberative in how we play the game. And it makes the game sometimes, I would say, um, unattractive. So we have to be we have to be aware, and we have to truly go back, gather more information based on what you're hearing or based on what you will hear. You need to do your due diligence of gathering more information. If you're a soccer player, if you're a football player, based on where you're listening to this podcast from, um, you need to gather more information. You need to do more studies to really have a better insight, a better understanding of what trends are and how important it is for your own development and your own advancement within the game. So I will definitely share from a subjective standpoint because uh, football is soccer is a universal game. So different cultures, different understanding, different approach. So it's not one thing. Um, so it's my own idea. It's my own perspective. So in the past few years, and when I spoke about trends, or when I'm talking about trends, it's like I want to be more specific in terms of what are the trends in the game now. What what are we seeing in the game now? And in the past few years, I've seen a real emphasis on some specific things within soccer, within football. So if you are a player, if you are um, if you are a parent, if you are a parent who really involved in the sport when it comes to your athlete, or you're a soccer player and you struggling to understand and to uh, really measure if you reach getting closer to your goals, or if you're a coach, young coach, now getting involved, and you know you're struggling how to put together your curriculum, how to you know make your session plan. This um, this is where it starts. This is um, this is what is important to know. What are the trends in the game? So obviously there are other factors, ages and stages, and all the other things, the culture. What is it you're trying to achieve? We know that, but talking to soccer people and people who are interested in um, going forward in the game, no matter where you started, no matter if you're in rec now, rec is grassroots. You could look at it that way. It don't matter where you start, no matter where you're starting, or no matter which program you're in. Um, if you want to play at a higher level, if you want to do better, it's just decisions you have to make. You just have to make a decision to be in the environment that will help you to progress in that way. So there are lots of trends that happen around that time, but I really want to dive into one, and maybe in the next few I'll dive into uh, a few more, but I will give you three of the ones I believe that are the trends in the game now, the thing that is moving the game forward, the thing that people are paying attention mostly to in terms of advancing and advancing their game and having better performances. Three key things. One is the physical capacity. Obviously, there's performance coaches now are super, super important to every program. And then the psychological advancement. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So taking care of the condition of your mind and the condition of your thoughts and how those feelings are coming out on the field is vital for success. But the one I want to really zoom in on tonight and spend the next 30 minutes or 20 minutes or so discussing is what I'm seeing from my standpoint is the tactical approach to go beyond the lines. That is one I've seen. Um, it's a major interest, and I can see a lot of emphasis being placed on the tactical approach in getting beyond the lines. So, and I think if you look at it, the top teams in the world uh, are the ones that truly influence our game. You know, and their idea, their idea, uh, they influence the idea of soccer. And when we talk about idea, we're not talking about philosophy, and we're not talking about style of play. We're not even talking about formation and all of those things. When we talk about the soccer idea or the football idea, it's talking about a system of success. You know, how do you get success? What is it that you're doing consistently to get success? And based on that, you build everything around that system. So it starts with that, and I believe the top teams in the world are influencing the entire game, influencing the entire soccer idea uh, at this moment. And it should not be no surprise because we oftentimes look at success to model. People don't look at failures to model. I think failures, failures. It's all part of growing. You could look at a failing model and you could say, okay, I'm not going that direction. But oftentimes people are more influenced by um, the more successful model. People are more drawn to kind of um, living out, or for a better word, what is much more successful within their field. And it's no different for soccer. So, so the stronger teams, what you find in that the stronger teams are faced with many different challenges within the game because of the approach of the opposition. So what you're seeing with the more inferior, with the more inferior teams when they're coming up against top teams, they make it very difficult in terms of how by how they control space, how they are super organized, and how they are defensively responsible because they want to stop the machine. And um, the bigger team, the bigger teams are the machine. So I think uh, by that approach, it now has forced uh, the bigger teams to find a way to be much more um, much more tactical, much more innovative in how they're able to go beyond the line. And by doing that, based on what they're up against consistently, they that is now the new trend. But I want you to pay attention to a key thing: the behavior that is influencing the trend is not just based on this is how they want to play. or this is how they want to approach the game now. It is influenced by opposition. If a team is so threatened by you that they every time you every game that you play, a team will they're deciding to go in a low block, more numbers, limiting all the spaces, then you have to now find a way to be able to get behind the opposition and create chances and score goals. So it's very important to understand that because people might just want to approach this new trend, right? They might just want to think, okay, this is the new way of playing, and they want to play like that. Okay, that's fine. But if you don't know why, or you're not clear about why is this the new trend, or why is this a new trend, then you when you think you're going in the right direction, you might be going in the wrong direction. So while it's good and you want to know uh, what are the new trends in the game, it's also important to know the why and to be equipped. So, and you will see, and we dive a little bit deeper into this discussion, why it's very important to understand, um, or to have a sense of not just the new trends or the trends within the game, but why is it a trend? Why is it a new trend? Why is it you're seeing more teams adopting um, this way of playing without a full understanding of the opposition or why they're doing it? Because I believe I just see a whole lot of teams just trying um, to be more expansive, for a better word, in the way they play because that's what they're seeing. But they're seeing it from um or they're influenced by the teams who are forced to take on this type of action because of what they're constantly faced with. If you are not constantly faced with that, you have to be careful. So I'm just reading an article, about the evolution of football tactics and in the modern game. And there were, some noticeable characteristics um, that was focused on in terms of, once again, the superior teams. And, a couple of those things were regains um, and more versatility from a positional standpoint. You saw that coming through um, positional behavior, versatility, and then positional behavior, because players are not as stationary or not functioning as linear like before. There's a lot of we can see a lot more variations in a right fullback coming in and becoming a central mid, and you're seeing different things there. Much more fluidity in the way the game is played, with more variation in the attacking sequence. But all of these things are occurring because of, one, the superior teams and what they're dealing with from the opposition. And one of the things that really that why I'm saying what I'm saying, because one of the things that really driving this new trend is is the deep line of confrontation that the superior teams are constantly faced with. When when a team thinks things that they are inferior, or uh, the opposition can create uh, goal scoring chances consistently, there is a there is this approach to defend in a deeper line with more numbers and close space, which force forces the opposition, or forces the superior team, to have to work a bit harder, to break down these challenges. So the new trends within the game is being influenced by the superior teams that that have to deal with the inferior teams, who oftentimes make it so difficult in terms of the organ, because teams are much more organized now. Teams uh, know where you can hurt them. They understand numbers, and so they're very organized and structured and disciplined in their defensive approach, which makes things very difficult for a team that is superior and should be getting the results against those teams. Should. There's teams that you're supposed to beat, and when you beat them, it's it don't take away the credibility of your performance, because you did what you're supposed to do. But when, based on all things considered, when you beat teams that you don't necessarily need to beat, then it becomes a problem, or it becomes something good for you, but it becomes a problem for that superior team. Changes are made all over the board. So it's not, oh, the teams are defending deep and it makes it very difficult for us. No, they have to say, we have to find a way to beat these teams. And that brings this new trend. And 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 one of the things that comes with this new trend is something called possession based football. I mean, possession based is a style of play of been in existence for a long time. But this possession based approach, to be able to go beyond the lines, it's it's what everybody's talking about within football. But also there's also another way that can have the same impact that everybody refused to talk about, or it's like a disease in football, which is in soccer, which is a more positional based approach. So there's possession base, there's a possession style of play, and then there's a positional style of play. But the new trends within the game, it is um, the possession style of play is what everybody is seeing, but they're not really looking at why it is that way. I need to go a bit deeper into this discussion, but I don't want you to not experience um, the R&K Just Clean um, learning corner, and to really shed some light on the tactical side of the game, which is my favorite part of the game, the structure and the organization in how you play and the way you play. I think it's art. I think I think it's poetic. I love to see it, so I love to share it. So we will take a quick interruption, jump into the learning corner, the R&K Just Clean um, learning corner, and then we'll jump back in and dive a bit deeper into the trends within the game of soccer. We'll be right back. But how do you defend when a team plays with four up front and they're trying to isolate your defenders to take away coverage? One of the ways you can do that quickly is having your nine force the opposition to play in one area of the field. If that happens, then it forces the 10 to be on the ball side, taking away the spaces. The 7 get really compact and a bit deeper. The 2 is on the outside. And now we have the balance with the 8 coming across and the 11 dropping inside. 3 coming inside. What becomes very important is in the central area of defense. How do you deal with this? Well, one of the ways to deal with it is bringing back the 6 to mark on the ball side and allowing the 4 to give coverage. So when you see a team play with two forwards, it's because they're trying to take away the coverage for the first pressure. So if there's 1v1, then the coverage becomes very compromised, because if, let's say for instance, quick example, if the ball comes into 9 and the 10 is there, if the 5 give coverage, then there's gaps in between here. If the 3 comes inside, then there's an option outside. So to take care of that, we make our numbers, we make our numerical advantage in the middle here, which give coverage and allow the players to stay with theirs. I hope this was helpful. See you again at a new Learning Corner. Welcome back to the Coach Kayode Show. Kayode here. Trends in the game. And we're dealing with this tactical approach in terms of going beyond the lines and the great influences of the game and how trends are influenced subjectively. I believe that's how you know we take on these new trends that influence our preparation, our planning, our curriculum, everything. It's influenced by the better teams. But my concern with it, because more and more I'm seeing that people are taking on these trends, which I have no problem with, but it's not a real. It don't seem to me like there's a real understanding or a true measure of the why. And like I tried to explain earlier, is the new trends in the game now and where it's coming from is what is happening from the superior to the inferior teams. And that is influencing this way of playing. And one of the ways or the style of play that is really influencing the game is this possession-based style. So this is what they have to do. This is the way they have to play, because they're dealing with an opposition that don't allow them to just utilize space behind them. Excuse me. So, and to play this way, I believe you have to be very methodical in your approach. You have to be clear. You have to have a clear game model. You have to have a clear game model, a style of play. Once again, my concern is, and I heard it, and I talk to people, and they feel like there's no other way to play. There's no other way to play within um, within the trends that they're seeing. Okay, you want to go with the game, but you also have to have your as a coach. You also have to have your own football idea, your own soccer idea. You could flip that whole trend, um, and and use it as part of what would be the weaknesses of a team playing like that, and we allowing them to play against us like that if we try to do that, rather than just saying this is a new trend, this is the way the game is going, this is the way I want to play. But it's not necessarily where the game is going just like that. The way the game is going, because it's influenced by the most superior teams, because they had to change their way in how they play the game because of the opposition. Like I said, there's no trends without opposition. So if you are going to adapt, if you're going to adapt the new trends within the game, which is being more elaborate, being more possession based, to be able to get beyond the lines, you have to be constantly faced with the same thing that the people who are influencing this are faced with. And I'm not talking to the people who play, who culture is based on this, who have always played, that is their identity, and even some of the countries who had that more expansive, elaborate, are more cognizant of how they do it, how they approach it, because it's not necessarily working for them at the international level. So even in those moments, they're saying yes, this is the new trend, and the new trend is, can we uh, can we be able to get the ball behind the lines to create chances or and to score goals. um, but this is our approach, not necessarily the superior teams, because when you listen to people talk about how they want to play and why they want to play more possession based, they use certain teams, certain countries. We want to play like that. This is the way the game is going now, and we have to be careful about that, because there's many factors that come into playing like that, that if you are not associating um, those characteristics with what you're trying to do, then it makes it very difficult and it creates confusion. You have to have a clear game model. And that's only happening. The possession base that we so crave, we refuse to deal with the more positional side of playing, because we call it kick away. We call it, oh, you're just kicking the ball away. So we've totally disassociate ourselves with a style of play that is within the game of soccer, that can do the same thing, that is there to do the same thing, and is there to do the same thing based on who is in front of you and what is the opposition presenting to you. So, so on one hand, we're seeing this trend of everybody wants to play possession because it's attractive, it's elaborate. But when a team decides to play positional, well, okay, that is just kicking the ball away. But a team that wants to play possession based, it's not just playing possession. There's other factors and other characteristics that must be associated with that style of play that you must be able to consistently do to say that is your style of play. So if you choose to be a more possession based team, then there's characteristics that come with that way of playing. That when you don't effectively or efficiently function within that capacity, then you see more times than not you struggle. You're unable to beat teams that you you're really not supposed to beat, and those teams you have to learn how to beat to become a high performance team or an elite team. And the teams that you're supposed to beat, you beat them doing what you're doing, and you think it can carry over, and it to this day it is not, because if you decide to play a certain way, you must have all the characteristics. Now we're probably going to have another discussion about the characteristics of a possession based style, the characteristics of a positional style. There's components in all four moments of the game that you have to be able to do constant or consistently well to be known as a possession based team. You could want to try and do it. You could want to try and do it because you're influenced by what you're seeing from superior teams that they're only trying to do it because of what is in front of them. So you just can't take it on and say this is the way we want to play because it produces result for those teams. But they're only doing it based on the opposition. You don't necessarily my point is you don't necessarily need to be adopting something that that don't fit what you're dealing with because you want to play like that. I started off by saying this is a new trend in the game, and subjectively, I don't think people truly understand what a trend mean or what trends mean in soccer, in football. I don't think they understand what it is. And just based on discussion with players, um, and sometimes discussion with coaches. Hi, Dexter. Good to see you. You see, hopefully, with this discussion, that coaches will have a bit of their own idea um, within the trends that fit the needs of who is in front of them, and um, and not just who's in front of them from their team perspective, but the opposition also. Because you have to also consider contact hours that you have. I see a lot of people trying to be more possession based and elaborate because that is the influence, that is the trend within the game. And I'm hoping that you get what I'm saying, where this is coming from. Where is this coming from? It didn't just drop out of the sky, or it's not just a new way. It's a way that uh, that was based on opposition behavior. So if you are not faced with that same opposition's behavior, why is it you're adopting something? Um, Maybe just because it look attractive, and that is not the only way to create opportunities to do exactly what you need to do when you have possession of the ball. The only thing you must do when you're in possession of the ball is try to score a goal. That's the game. When you don't have the ball, the most important thing is to stop the team from scoring. How you do that is based on what is in front of you in terms of your group and the opposition, and how you can make your team much more efficient and effective in doing that. And that comes with variables, that comes with some constants, whatever you want to do. So in the I looked at the EPL league and I look at three teams: Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, and their percentage for possession is all in the 60s. Now look at what happens when those three teams are playing against the opposition. How many times they're going up against teams that we're gonna sit here in a low block and try to utilize what we have to try to defeat them. So now they oftentimes have the ball a lot, and they have the ball a lot because once again, there's components that comes with a possession based team that you say you're possession based team or you want to play possession, but you neglect all the other components in all the other functions of the game: transition, defending, transition to attack, transition to defend. You neglect all those other components and all the principles that comes with being a possession based team. I'm harping on possession because this this trend has come into the game, and every single from the U9 team to everybody thinks uh, this is the way you have to play the game, and it might be, but I'm saying, but the decision and the training and the ideas don't connect with what the possession based style is. Maybe you'll get there, but it's not. And most of the times the players don't know, excuse me, what possession is. And then when Manchester City come against Liverpool, one in the 50s and one in the 40s, what is happening there? The approach is different. And you soccer scholars and you who listen and to the not just go watch the game, but listen to the comments from the manager, listen to the approach. It's all based on the opposition. They're not just saying, well, this is the way the game needs to be played and this is how we will play. No, it is based on the opposition. It's based on different factors. So when you take the more positional approach, oh, you're kicking the ball away. It's defined as kicking the ball away. So I went and watched a U12 game. Not worried to name the club or whatever, but went to look at the U12 game, and the opposition is pressuring the ball relentless because they're bigger, they're quicker, and they believe, you know what? If they want to do that, we will be able to win the ball close to goal or go score. Now, the players who trying to build it out from the back, they are not as strong. They uh, they are not as quick, and they struggle with the different press. And it's not even like this press is awesomely done. It's just running and closing the ball down as quickly as possible. Not in an angle, not in a specific approach. There's spaces all over the field, but the young players are unable to deal with it. And the messages continue to play out, continue to play out. Because this is the way we want to play. And while that continued to happen, uh, one thing about um, one thing about learning is that I've learned is, you know,